Well, we've got one by popular audience request today, and that is going to be the new Beretta model APX, but the A1. So this is the latest model in this iteration of the APX series from Beretta. And I have to say right off the bat, it just felt good. It's accurate as fuck, though. Jesus. Bye-bye X-Ring. This is my first go with the APX series for more than like a mag or two on the range, and definitely my first go period with the APX A1 for some long-term testing. And I have to say this model is much improved over the original APX design, both in looks, feel, and function. And all of that definitely showed through out on the range. Today's video is brought to you by TriStar Trading. They handle all of the swag for the channel, from my shirts to the hats, patches, stickers, all that good stuff. Great people out in Johnson City, Tennessee. Give them some love if you're interested in picking up anything to support the channel at TriStar Trading, link in the description. Welcome back, lead slingers. Let's talk about what makes the Beretta APX A1 the new premier pistol from Beretta, what it's all about, and what makes it a little bit different. So if you've never seen the APX A1 before, you can tell it obviously looks completely different than the original APX design, and I'm glad they made those changes, but it does feel quite a bit different as well. This is going to be a polymer striker-fired 9mm pistol, and it's going to come with all of the trimmings you would expect in a modern pistol setup. You're going to get ambi slide stop and slide release. You will get a swappable magazine release, so even my lefties can get some love out there on the range. It will have 3 interchangeable grip panel back straps for custom fitting to your hand and ergonomics. The overall ergonomics and grip angle here are going to be much less aggressive than, say, a Glock or something like that out there in the market. It will have great texture on the grip in the way of that sandpaper style on both sides, and then more of a squared off kind of traditional stippling on the front and the back strap. And that is going to be very aggressive, yet not abrasive. Down towards the bottom of the pistol grip, you're going to get a very nice pinky ledge to help you control that. And that kind of seems to be a European design favorite, but it really does help with that recoil management. The trigger guard is going to be double undercut for a high grip, again to help recoil management. You're going to get a nice reference point on both sides towards the front of that frame. It's very long and usable. Again, with that sandpaper style texture, that's going to help you just get a little bit more traction when you're out there running this thing on the range. The takedown lever is a push button design, which makes for a very simple and quick breakdown process. You have a 3-slot accessory rail out underneath for all of your light laser and mini bayonet needs. On the slide, you're going to have those aggressive front and rear serrations, so you can work that slide to your heart's content. There are minimal logos that are very tastefully done across the top and the sides of the slide, which is pretty normal for modern pistols. And of course, in the modern era, this is an optics-ready pistol with a wide variety of plates to fit most modern popular optic patterns out there in the market today. One nice touch on the APX A1 is that the extractor has a red painted loaded chamber indicator that pokes out just enough to see in daylight, or you can actually feel it in darkness to make sure you got one in the pipe. For the factory sights, you will get a blacked out and serrated rear with a front white bold night sight that's going to do everything you needed to do out there on the range to get you going. But to answer a question I know that's going to come up, the factory sights will not be usable once you mount up your red dot. They're not mid or suppressor height. When it comes to the coating, Beretta has a proprietary design called Aquatech Finish that helps with extreme corrosion resistance. The trigger on this will be a slightly curved design, but mostly flat, with a trigger shoe safety that does go sub-flush for a very clean tactile feel, and we're going to get more into that trigger after we talk about the range work. When it comes to feeding your Beretta APX A1, you are going to get 2 steel 17-round magazines. I wish it were 3, but 2 will get you started on the range. And now for all of my spec commandos, don't think I would ever forget about you, and the elevator music that goes along with a spec sheet. All right, so how about that range performance? And then we're gonna get into doing some trigger pulls so you can see what that is all about. Out on the range, I got to know the APX A1 very quickly. It has those less aggressive grip angles, which I absolutely love and I'm a fan of. And it points extremely natural for me, and that is why I dig it. The grip texture, reference points, double undercut, and the way the grip is angled really do help you keep a very tight grip on this pistol and make that recoil management extremely easy. The magazine release and the slide stop slide release are extremely natural and just seem to be in the right place and very easy to use all the way from the first couple rounds through the end of the day. There was no break-in or loosening up needed. They just seem to function immediately with ease, but not being too easy that you would manipulate them on accident. Now, magazine exchanges were pretty familiar with those less aggressive grip angles, even though I did have a flub or two on the range, because every once in a while we do all live the flub life. Flub life! The overall feeling of the APX A1 with a loaded magazine in it just seemed to be very natural and very well balanced. Whether I was trying to run this for speed or some transition drills out there, it seemed to be extremely forgiving. What I mean by that is I could almost mess up on the fundamentals a little bit and it still seemed to just put the round right where I wanted it to go. And I've had that experience with a couple of other pistols out there, like the P320X Full or the Walther PDP, which you know I'm a huge fan of. The overall functionality of the Beretta APX A1 was top notch. I didn't have any problems with it out there. And honestly, it surprised me quite a bit right out of the gate with the first few shots, and it really did remind me of how much I enjoyed the PDP right away. Now, I know you all have been aching to see how that trigger is going to perform on the pull gauge, so we are going to do that. But we're also going to talk about one thing that I noticed that you're probably going to notice right away with the APX A1, and then we're going to talk about one of the really cool features that the APX A1 has. That good up close action here with the trigger on the APX A1 here. So you can see it is a mostly flat. There's a slight curve to that trigger, and that trigger shoe safety does go sub flush, which I'm a huge fan of. Just feels better on the finger. So as far as take up, that's what we got right there. It is extremely smooth on that take up. You meet a pretty solid wall and a decent break. The reset here, it's not bad right there. You do have a little bit of creep here, so I'll try to go slow for you. It's a couple millimeters and then a let off that's not bad. So overall, it is what you would expect out of a combat or a duty style trigger. All right, let's go ahead and put it on the gauge now and see what we are going to get. I want to say it's going to be right around that 5 pound, 4.5, 5 pound mark now that it's got a few hundred rounds through it. So that one was 5 pounds, 9 ounces. We'll enter that one and see what we get here. All right, so 3.8 pounds. I pulled a little lower on the trigger shoe maybe, so add that one. I'll go more center line this time. All right, that one went higher because I was higher on the trigger shoe at 6.2. Let's go ahead and do a fourth one, right? Just to balance it out a little bit, and I'll try to go center line here. All right, so 5 pounds, 15 ounces. Enter that one, we got a 5.5 pound overall pull. So it doesn't quite feel that heavy, but that's what the gauge has given us with a total of 4 pulls. All right, so what did I notice and what makes the APX A1 just a little bit different than a lot of other stuff out there? And the first thing is it's a chassis system. So rather than a traditional frame where all the parts fit in there, the chassis in here, the full metal part with the rails and everything comes right out, much like a SIG P320 series does. And I really do like that because that opened up options for you in the future, maybe for different frames, grip lengths, anything that Beretta could come out with. You pull that chassis out, it's not another pistol because the chassis is considered the pistol. You throw it in a new frame, maybe it's a shorter slide, maybe it's a shorter grip. Whatever it is, if they can come out with it, you'll be able to use that same fire control group in your next Beretta. Now, that one thing that I did notice with the APX A1 is it's got a pretty thick slide on it. So right when I pulled it out of the box and kind of pressed it out a few times, I was like, this thing is top heavy, right? And I kind of had that in my mind when I went out to the range, and I was just wondering, you know, under recoil, what is that going to feel like? But as soon as I threw a loaded mag in there, a fully loaded mag, it instantly felt extremely balanced out on the range. And all of that went away with how it performed out there, even though that was kind of in my mind. So you might have that same thought holding it in the store, but when you get a loaded mag in it, trust me, that really goes away quick. And the other thing that I am really liking about the APX A1 is that little pinky ledge right there. So it just seems to be, that's coming out on a lot of the different European stuff that I've seen lately, and it really does do a very good job of helping you mitigate that recoil. So once you start to concentrate on that pinky a little bit, as that recoil happens, it just helps you put that slide right back down and keep it very, very flat out on the range. So I dig it. I've got a couple pistols that have that design feature now, and I'm starting to enjoy it more and more once I kind of change my grip to that pistol. Reliability wise, it ran 100%. So I fed all the basic ball, hollow point, self-defense stuff that I normally would, and it chewed through all of it without issue. The only thing I didn't test in there was steel, because I hate steel and I don't buy it unless I have absolutely no other option. Now, price-wise, cash money American, I saw the APX A1, right as you see it here, minus the optic, all over for $479. I've got to say, for the way this thing ran, the way it felt, the ergonomics, and how much I liked it right off the bat, $479, that's an extremely good price point. If you think the comparable Glock 17 Gen 5 MOS, I think it's like $650, almost $700. $479 seems like a really solid deal for this. And I definitely understand now why I got so many comments from viewers asking me to do a review of the APX A1, because they probably went, checked it out in the store, and thought it felt really good, but just didn't want to pull the trigger until they got some more information on it. And what I will say is I am extremely happy that I got that thing in, because it just runs good, it feels good, and overall I like the performance of it. And the best thing is, it was an enjoyable experience out there testing and running this thing, which is definitely not always the case when you're doing reviews on pistols and rifles or anything else in the tactical world. Sometimes things just are not fun to do out there. Now, is that APX A1 gonna be for you? I don't know. You've got to get your dirty little hands on that thing and see if it's gonna fit you, because we are all completely different out there. So that's what I've got, and now it's time for you to tell me what you got down in the comments and what your thoughts are on the APX A1 from Beretta. It did surprise me quite a bit. I didn't think I was gonna like it as much as I did. So I wanna know your thoughts down below. Big shout to the Patreons for all the support, and TriStar Trading for making all the shirts and the hats and everything for the channel. Check them out at the link in the description below. And make sure you sub up and thumbs up down there, because YouTube loves to see that stuff, and I would appreciate it because it's a huge help to the channel. You get out on the range, have some fun. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. I will see you all on the next one.